This is last call for fantasy football. A fantastic week one. Welcome to everyone in the football space, NFL space, NFL fantasy space. Week one's done. It's Monday night, September 9th at 11:53 p.m. We're recording this episode after the Monday night game, and we got a lot to get through after a fun, overall low scoring week one in the NFL. There's just a lot to run through.
Aside from tonight.
What?
Aside from tonight. 49ers. That was probably the one of the only exciting offenses we watched this weekend.
I wouldn't even say that they were that exciting. It was just Jordan Mason running the ball down their throat, compiling
That's
yards,
true.
and
It was a lot of, well, that's kind of the West Coast offense, spreading the ball out and
but their kicker,
sweeps,
Jake
slants.
Moody. If any of you guys had Jake Moody as your
that's
kicker,
true.
he finished the game. I think in our league he had 29 points. Yeah,
Dude, I did not pay attention to that.
well, you realize they scored 32 points and they only scored 2 offensive touchdowns. So,
Well, I did know that he had like 3 in the first half,
yeah.
like 40-yarders too. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
I mean,
it
that's
was
12 points right there.
Nope, it was insane. I mean, I'm actually going to pull it up. Not that anyone wants to start their the season the recap of
Dude, Jake Moody was probably
26.
whoever
Sorry.
had him that was probably their top performer.
Yeah, this
Unless
week,
they had Baker Mayfield or Anthony Richardson
seriously, he made
or Jaden Reed.
6 field goals, 2 50-plus yarders, 2 40 to 49, 1 30 to 39, 1 20 to 29, and 2 extra points. So, Jake Moody, MVP of your week. So,
Checking the waiver wires right now.
no, he's there in our league, honestly. So, anyways, welcome
Where is
in.
he?
This is a fantastic start to the year. I'm starting with a dub. If you guys know and watched the previous episode talking about the story of our draft, I'm getting my minute in the sunshine because for years it's known Justin always beats me week one. We play each other week one, and he normally gets the best of me, and it's normally a close one. I won by 30 points on the backs of Joe Mixon, Cooper, Mr. Target King Cup. Jalen Hurts did I. And my Saints defense putting the Panthers to Pound Town. So
Yeah.
it was just
Kyle's lucky I didn't start Jaden Reed. He was on my bench.
well, they say control what you can control, and you could have controlled that, and you got left with 1.5 points from Mr. Raheem Mostert. So
Yep.
if you were as close to doing it as you say, you deserve
Well,
that
the
one.
decision was between Michael Pittman and Jaden Reed, but
Well, to be fair,
not Mostert.
Michael Pittman didn't do much better anyways. So,
No.
But yeah, I'm coming off a win. I feel good. I don't know how you guys are feeling.
I won in one of my leagues.
This is the only league that I won in. Actually, no, I'm only in 3 leagues. I'm 2 for 3. I'm 2 for 3. The Dynasty League is not off to a great start, but we got a lot to run through. We got lots of games to run through, so let's just run through this. We had a very low scoring fantasy week across the board. Oh, and we lost Justin. I don't know where he went, but I'm going to continue it for now. So it was a low scoring affair. Tight ends were terrible. If you drafted a tight end early, like we all wanted to and we all expected, it was not good. Oh, Justin's back now. You back?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you do?
I don't know what happened. I thought you did something.
I didn't do nothing. But I was just saying that.
All right. Stop fucking around. We got a lot to get through.
Oh, whatever. Get out of here. I was just saying that tight end scoring was god awful. The only tight ends that were any decent at all was Kyle Pitts because he scored a touchdown and Foster Moreau because he scored a touchdown. And
Yeah.
only one of those were being started. And hell, I think
Yeah.
even George Kittle tonight. Um,
We did okay.
yeah, but I'm saying up until then, there was nothing going on
Oh
for
yeah,
tight ends.
yeah.
You know,
Even then,
what was
I don't. Kittle didn't get a touchdown. I know this because
no? See, he was
I had
only
a
even
parlay
4
that
for
was
40
riding on
too.
him.
Kittle's only 4 for 40, so like that's for this week that's a top 10 tight end. Honestly, I'm not even joking. 4 for 40 might be a top 10 tight end.
Well, Brock Bowers only scored 5.8, and he was the second best in our league.
Yeah.
So
So
that's something.
we're gonna run through matchup by matchup, just our quick takeaways because there's a lot of games. We had a game Thursday night, a game Friday night, game. Oh, obviously all the games Sunday and a game tonight. So let's start with Thursday. No, we talked about Thursday. We already talked about the Chiefs Ravens. But let's just move to Friday. We
Yeah,
watched the Packers lose
Eagles,
to the
Packers.
Eagles. And that game started out terrible. The field in Brazil was god awful. Players were sliding all over the place. And it was the Saquon Barkley show, which I'm on record being a huge Saquon Barkley believer. One, in his talent, that he hasn't lost a step, and with his 24 carries, 109 yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns, along with the receiving touchdown as well, a 3-piece in his debut. They're going to lean on him, and both Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown got theirs. Like that's how I think that this team is going to move forward. I mean, they scored 34. They're not going to score 34 every week, but everyone's going to get theirs. So continue with them with confidence.
Yeah. I think there's going to be weeks where Devonta Smith, does Devonta Smith things and he doesn't do his thing. And as far as Saquon Barkley, I will go on record. I'll eat my words to an extent. I still think I don't think we're going to see a rookie Saquon year, but he's going to be good.
I think that is very possible that we see him have his best fantasy season.
I think
it's off to a great
still
start.
Very likely he's going to have a bunch of touchdowns vultured still.
All right, that's fine.
He got lucky this week with Jalen Hurts not taking touchdowns, but it's going to happen.
Jalen Hurts, he started the game as miserable as you can with a pick and a fumble lost. Him sitting on my team at
Two
negative.
fumbles lost, right? Or no, 2 fumbles, 1 loss.
No, it was a fumble, 2 picks. So he had 3 turnovers. So in your scoring formats, ARDS, that's -6 points. So I was sitting here with negative points for the majority of the first quarter. So, but he's going to do fine. Finished with 278 and 2. The other side of the ball, the elephant in the room, Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed is the elephant in the room because he had a monster game. Although I'm going to throw my hater piece in there and say it's because he got a 70-yard touchdown on a terrible field where the defenders just couldn't stop anything.
Obviously, Kyle's a hater on Jaden Reed for whatever reason, even though he wanted to draft him in our draft.
He's a good player. I like Jaden Reed. I'm not dunking on him but I'm saying this exact stat line that if you rewatch that play, Jordan Love should have been sacked and the defender was in prime position to make the tackle and just had the turf monster just disappear.
I think everybody knows that this is not going to be normal for him, but it is cool to see that this is in the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
And that he's that explosive of a player. I mean, he still had to beat several defenders to make it to the end zone on that 70-yard play. It wasn't just wide open green grass. So,
it was a great game.
Yeah.
It ended up being more competitive, but what I meant to say when I said elephant in the room is Jordan Love, MCL sprain. He'll be out for a few weeks. Yeah. So if he's your QB,
yeah. Before we get into more, that's about wraps it up with that game, right?
I mean, Josh Jacobs looked really good. He was everything to that team. Emmanuel Wilson had a few carries there, I believe.
I will say Emmanuel Wilson got drives.
Yeah, but I mean,
he had almost whole drive. I'll say Josh Jacobs did not get the workload that I expected.
I thought he looked damn good, but
He did look good.
other
But
than
he didn't
that,
get the workload. But we'll see.
he had 16 carries for 84 yards, 5.5 a clip, with a long of 32.
I think, personally, I'll put my hater piece out there. I think Josh Jacobs is a running back that is typically reliant on getting 20 some carries
Because he's
plus.
always had that.
I think he's probably a person who's relying on it, but we'll see.
Okay.
He's
But
never been super efficient, but we'll see. Week 1.
what is your
But let me
update?
get into the injury news. All right, so we got Kenneth Walker out with an abdominal injury at the end of the game. I guess that's why Charbonnet was actually taking over on some drives at the end of that game. We got Jordan Love MCL sprain out 3 to 6 weeks. Jake Ferguson also MCL sprain. His was not as severe apparently. Also could have just been like a bone bruise, I guess, in that area. Out like 1 to 4 weeks. Puka Nakua, I did look up the injury news. It finally is out. PCL sprain, likely going on IR.
Yeah, no, I think
That
the
sucks.
last I saw was like he is going on IR. He's to miss 4+
Yeah.
games. So
And then David Njoku,
if you go back to our
high
poison
ankle
picks
sprain.
episode, you should be fine because you didn't draft Puka at the 1-2 turn. So if
True.
you're watching this,
True.
that you don't care because he's not on your team.
It's true.
All right, moving on to
Except
the
he probably is.
Hell no.
You guys don't listen to us. You'd think we're some stupid pieces of shit. But guess what?
None of us got Puka, so I'm chilling. Bro, this is gonna.
All right, yeah. David Njoku had a high ankle sprain, though. He will probably miss a few weeks, and I think it's also very concerning. I know in the past, players with high ankle sprains, typically when they come back, they just kind of suck. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor. It was last year, a couple years ago. He had a high ankle sprain, came back and sucked. It's not good. It's not a good injury. But that's it.
That's it.
Honestly, not too bad. We didn't have any season ending, and only a couple high profile players are going to miss any time. So I think we got pretty lucky this week. Aaron Rodgers made it alive.
He did make it alive. And I was listening to the announcers. They were like counting down the plays. They were like,
that
the
was
third
super
play.
weird. Was that not weird?
It was like,
I was like, dude, shut up. Like, don't say that. Like, why would you say that?
they were just waiting for the cue
Hey,
to
Troy,
say.
this is the 4th play here, so let's see if he tears his ACL again.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck, dude? What are you doing?
Yeah, it's like they were counting because they wanted to say that line. Oh, now he's officially played longer than the entirety of last year. Like they were just trying to set that up.
Oh,
It was
dude.
so odd.
The tagline was because he ended up fumbling the ball, right? Or no, that was the pick. No, it's the punch out from
Brees.
whatever his name is. Yeah, on Brees. And he said something about well, the season isn't over for the Jets on this 4th play this year, but it's still not good.
Ugh, God, I
It was
hate
something
Joe
like
Buck.
that. I was like, dude, what the fuck is
God,
wrong
I
with
hate
you?
Joe Buck. But yeah, I can't. I was trying to look earlier. I know there's a couple more that are minor, but honestly, for fantasy purposes, Puka going on IR is probably the most detrimental. The Ferguson one is decent news because I know, like, Ferguson is a starting tight end in leagues, so you're gonna have to rectify that.
Yeah, that kind of
well,
sucks.
and Jordan Love for sure. I take it back. That's the biggest.
That's the
injury
worst one for
impact.
sure because he is going to miss like a substantial amount of time, and he has a lot of players. I mean, Jordan Jacobs even is dependent on Josh Jacobs.
There you go.
Jordan or Josh Reed.
Josh Reed, Jordan Love, or Jordan.
Even the running back is dependent on Jordan Love being able to move the ball and them scoring touchdowns.
No,
so
for sure.
that sucks.
Yeah. So hopefully you made it out alive. I avoided the injury bug, knock on wood, for my first dub of the year. Um,
I kind of did.
yeah, I mean, you got Joker. Oh, but Mostert has a chest injury.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So yeah, I heard them talking about that, and that could have been the reason that he wasn't actually involved as much as you would think he was. He
Yeah,
would be.
yeah, no, he was not involved at all. It was a weird game script for the Dolphins, but we can get into that. Um, so yeah, let's just do a quick fire run through these games and any quick takeaways. First up, we have here is the Steelers and Falcons. It was not the offensive performance that we wanted from the Falcons.
No.
Holy stinker, Drake
Well,
London.
the Steelers' defense is insane, and the Steelers' offense sucks.
So it just
So
made
the
for a
game just
boring
sucked
game. I mean,
because
Kirk
they made
Cousins.
sure the Falcons couldn't do anything. And the Falcons didn't prevent the Steelers from doing anything, but the Steelers did themselves. They prevented themselves from doing anything
Yeah,
when they brought in Justin Fields and Russell Wilson.
it it was just for fantasy. So the overarching story for this is Bijan Robinson is going to have elite usage. He had 18 carries for 68 yards. Not the best yards per carry, but 18
Yeah,
carries in a game is good in today's NFL. And also had
especially
five
against TJ Watt.
right and five receptions for 43 yards. Like that'll get it done. Like don't worry about Bijan. Bijan's gonna be great. Kirk Cousins less than stellar performance. I mean, it was
Yeah,
QBR
I
of
didn't watch
29.
most of the game, but I did hear talk that he looked bad.
He was like a statue out there. He had no
Yeah.
pocket movements. I mean, he had a QBR of 29, 16 to 26. Like that's not good. 150,
Well,
55 yards.
so Aaron Rodgers tore his left Achilles, so it's his plant foot. Uh, Kirk Cousins tore his right Achilles, and apparently he was not like pushing off of his back foot like
Mm,
at all when he
mm.
was throwing the ball, which
It's
that's where
just
all the power
something to
comes from.
monitor because Ray McLeod was their top receiver with 4 for 52, and Drake London put up a stinker. You know, I'm not
Dude,
panicking on Drake London just yet, but 2 for 15,
I mean
woof.
but this is what I was saying with why he was such a risky pick in the first place was look, it doesn't matter if Kirk Cousins does well or not. He just might not be that guy.
I
Yeah, he's
think
a freak of nature, but look, he just might not be that guy.
this is a don't panic situation for me. It's just unfortunate that it they had to play a tough game against the Steelers to start. They didn't play the starters in Atlanta. Didn't play any preseason at all. Kirk Cousins didn't take a snap. Like I wouldn't read into it that much. And we lost Justin again. But the on the opposite side of the ball, the Steelers gave a ton of carries to Najee, 20 for 70. Still not efficient, but he's never been that. Justin Fields is Justin Fields, and he just didn't get into the end zone. Russ has the calf/Achilles injury. No, sorry, that's McCaffrey. It's just a calf for Russell Wilson, but he just doesn't look like an NFL quarterback. Unfortunately, I thought he had it coming into the league. I don't think he does at this point in time, but he didn't look like an elite quarterback, but he can get you there for fantasy. If Russ is going to miss more time, what did he have? He had 14 carries for 57 yards as Justin comes back now. I was talking about Justin Fields and just the Pittsburgh offense as a whole.
Oh yeah.
He was 17 of 23, which, okay, that'll get it done. Only 156 yards, 6.8 per completion, which is dog.
Yeah.
Absolute terrible. But
Yeah. He could be good for
14
fantasy though.
he had 14 carries for 57 yards. So, in a pinch, we'll get into him later.
Hey, if
But
you had Jordan Love, I would be fine with you streaming him for sure.
yeah, and George Pickens 6 for 85.
Yeah, that's
He's a
pretty
great
good.
player. He's going to be good for you moving forward. Pat Fryermuth, whatever, 4 for 27. Just don't expect prolific offensive numbers from this team. They're either going to get theirs, get in the end zone, and be great for you, or they're just going to be mediocre. So, moving on, the Cardinals and Bills. It was a high-scoring affair, although you had the
Although if you
kick
watched the
return.
first half, it wasn't.
Right. The Bills did not look like they were all put together on offense. Josh Allen is still elite, though. Finished as, I think, the second best quarterback on the week.
Um,
He had 232 through the air, 2 passing
I
touchdowns,
think it
and 2
was
rushing touchdowns.
I think it was Baker and then Anthony Richardson and then
Okay, gotcha.
Josh Allen.
Okay. Quarterback
But
3.
yeah,
He'll still get it done. James Cook, 19 for 71. Keon Coleman led in the target share for the team, 4 for 51. And
it's good to see.
yeah, I mean, I think
Who knows?
as the year progresses, I think Keon will emerge as a more reliable option. The biggest woof was Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid was just
Yeah.
completely left for dead.
Well,
I
really, everybody besides Keon. I mean,
Well, Mac Hollins got the
well,
touchdown.
well,
Um,
for fantasy,
right, and so did
nobody's
Shakir.
got Mac Hollins.
Right, but Khalil Shakir 3 for 42 with the touchdown. So Shakir
That's
had
not
the
bad.
best fantasy day, but 3 catches, 42, and he just had the long touchdown, the 19-yard touchdown. So like, there
Plus
wasn't
half
much
the
going
yards.
around. Well, I say there wasn't much going around. Everything was going around. It was just completely spread out, which is a sucky situation for fantasy. You don't want to know that Mac Hollins can score a touchdown and Samuel can score a touchdown. Shakir, Coleman, James Cook, like that's you don't want to mess with that. So I
I
think,
almost think we're gonna get a where Patrick Mahomes a couple years ago had no fantasy
mm-hmm,
options at wide receiver. It's probably what we're looking at this year, but
right,
hopefully Keon would at least we'll see.
yeah, and Josh Allen's still great. You don't need anyone to tell you that. On the other side of the ball, Kyler Murray, he sucked too. Just like figuring out the game. He only had 160 yards passing. He had the one touchdown. He missed Marvin Harrison on a
Yeah.
bomb game-winning touchdown, and Marvin Harrison put up a atrocious stat line. But the fact that he only caught one pass the entire game, that's just unacceptable to me. I mean, unless the defense was just completely dedicating to shut him down and make someone else beat them, it was unacceptable to have Marvin Harrison catch one pass in the game. 4 yards. I saw it. It was a little curl route just because he dropped a first down. And they said, you know what? We're going to get him the ball right back, get him involved. And, I'm bouncing around, I'm watching all the games. And then to see that at the end of the game that was his only catch, I don't see how that's even possible. But James Conner, still your workhorse. 16 for 50 on the ground, 3 for 33 through the air. When he had the touchdown, they want to get him involved. And then, yeah, I mean, it was a closer game than probably what most people expected, but I think
I
I'll
will
turn
say
around
I
for Marvin
think
Harrison.
the whole Arizona offense will be better going forward. They didn't really get to similar to like what you were saying with the Falcons. I don't think they got to work together in the off season. So
Yeah, they didn't play, and I'm not calling a bust for a season. There's not too many things. I will let you know what I think needs to be reacted to, and deserves the overreaction of the sky is falling. I don't think Marvin Harrison Jr. is in that category just yet. I think that's a
oh no.
rookie's first game, and they'll figure it out. Next up, Titans and Bears. The Titans lost this
That
game.
was such a weird game.
The Titans lost this game without giving up a single offensive touchdown, and they scored 24 points.
The Titans gonna Titan.
The Titans, Will Levis
And
going Will Levis. He's still
somehow the Bears
terrible.
didn't bear.
The Bears were down 17-0.
I was going to watch the game, right? And I turned on the game. The Bears were down 17-0. Caleb Williams was like,
Atrocious.
he had like 10 yards passing or something like that. And I was like, all right, he sucks. And I turned to a different game.
Yeah.
And he still did suck, but they won the game. So I think there is alarms to be rang for the Bears offense though. And
Um,
I think it comes from just super high expectations for that offense when there shouldn't have been.
I I think you can chalk that up to the same thing though. It's his first game. Keenan Allen left the game hurt with an undisclosed leg injury,
You know, it's
and
prescriptive of rookie quarterbacks to not
which
have
is
good
true.
rookie seasons.
Which is true. I still think there's hope. Um, the run game was not there. Just the offense was just not good. Can you guess what? So I'll give you a hint. Caleb Williams completed 14 passes. He was 14 of 29, so just over 50% or under
Okay.
50%. What do you think his average per completion was?
8 yards.
3.2.
Oh my gosh.
3.2 yards per completion. So it was 14 of 29 for 93
That's
total yards.
insane.
I think I saw some crazy stat that was something like,
That's not even a pass.
yeah, I
That's
mean,
a shovel.
you could just run the ball that many times and get that average 3.2
Probably got more
yards
yards that way.
But yeah, it was a crazy stat. Something like no one has ever had that many attempts and completions for under
Oh,
100 yards.
yeah, we left Keenan off the injury news, but apparently he's injured as well.
Yeah, undisclosed leg injury for Keenan. We'll see the severity
Yeah.
coming up here soon.
But he was the most targeted on the team.
Yeah, 4 for 29, so terrible output. But no one, I mean, even DJ Moore, 5 for 36. There's only so many ways to slice 93 passing yards. Like, everyone's going to have a bad game. We mentioned Will Levis on the Titans. He looked terrible, 19 for 32. Somehow he squeaked way ahead on the average per completion at 4 yards of completion for 127 total yards. But Tony Pollard, 16 for 82, 5.1 a clip and the touchdown, which
Yeah, he actually looked pretty good.
was completely mind-boggling to me because Tajay Spears carried the ball 4 times when Pollard 16. Like that to me, I'm going to tell you a panic right now. You panic on Tajay Spears
Yeah, I
because
I
that
never
was not
understood the
the.
Tajay Spears hype in the first place. Like,
I mean,
if
he
he
was
was
a
so
talented
good,
dude.
then Derrick Henry, he looked good this year. I'll give you that. He didn't look good last year. And it wasn't that the offense was bad. Tajay Spears did look good in the offense last year for the
Yeah.
Titans. If Tajay Spears was that good and Derrick Henry was looking that bad, they would have given Tajay Spears more work last season. This happens all the time where these backup running backs, they do good in a backup role, and then we think that with that they're just going to get all this work in the offense, but when you have a big name player like Tony Pollard, he's going to get all the work.
And he looked good. 5.1 a clip. I mean, that'll get it done. So,
Yeah, it was awesome.
and I mean, the receiving options, DeAndre Hopkins 1 catch, 8 yards, terrible. And what's his face? The other receiver, Calvin Ridley, 50 yards. There's only so many ways you can split a terrible offensive performance.
Not
But
bad.
moving on, Patriots and Bengals. Patriots beat the Bengals. Yeah, is right.
Yeah.
Except for Mr. Ramondre Stevenson, who
Yeah.
I think the Bengals got shell shocked at how quickly they fell behind, and they didn't have the weapons and the chemistry to get back into the game. I think everything was too new
Yeah.
for the
I think,
Bengals.
like what you're saying, they got down, and I feel like they just kind of panicked
Right.
and they just were flustered
And
and didn't know what to do.
and for the Bengals, Jamar Chase finished the game 6 for 62, but T Higgins was out, so I don't think they were prepared to be without T Higgins, and they didn't know if
Yeah,
they
that
were
was
gonna.
weird. I wasn't expecting him to be out, and then I
Well, and
woke
then we
up
didn't
on Sunday
know
morning and I was like, "What the hell?"
they didn't know if they were gonna even get Jamar. So they probably planned around T Higgins to start this game. Then they lose him, and now Jamar
Yeah,
just comes in and steps into that.
yeah.
But
Joe Burrow's coming off the injury, and yeah,
and
I'm not raising the alarms for this team. I'll say that.
no, I don't think so. It's just it's a weird week one. I mean, it just looked clunky. 21
Yeah,
of 29, Joe Burrow, but everything was short. Everything was to the outside. It didn't look like he was playing as a confident Joe Burrow as we've seen. On the other side of the ball, Jacoby Brissett, he is Jacoby Brissett. There's not much to talk about there. Like we mentioned, 25 carries for Ramondre. And, I mean, 3 catches, 6 yards, but Ramondre had himself a game. And for a down scoring week, 120 and 1, that he's probably going to be top 5 on the running back position this week.
I think that's awesome for him, especially like even though the Patriots won, they still didn't look great,
Mm-mm.
and I think in a game where maybe they play a worse offense or a worse defense, he could even explode for more points. So
Yeah. Um, if you want to suffer and watch Patriots games, that's on you. Personally, I'm not going to, but if you got Ramondre way late in the drafts, it looks like I mean, we knew he was going to have the opportunity, but at least it's good to see that they're willing to give it to him with this new coaching staff, and he physically can do something with it. Oh, and Antonio Gibson was irrelevant, so especially on passing
yeah, that
downs,
was surprising to me, but
I think it's surprising
it's good to
everybody
see for fantasy.
for sure. Also, and just real quick before we move on, you're not panicking on Jamar Chase either. He's fine.
No,
He didn't
the
practice
whole
a lick.
Bengals offense
Yeah.
just yeah.
Next up, fun game. My favorite game of the weekend actually was the Texans Colts. Um,
It was
the
fun to watch.
the Texans' offensive weapons are terrifying. If you're the
That
NFL,
team looks insane.
it was as advertised, which I don't think anyone expected Joe Mixon to completely take the world by storm. He had 30 carries for 159 and 1. It tied his career high in carries. 30 carries
Yeah,
for
that
Joe
part I
Mixon.
did not expect. That's for sure.
I
Was him to
expected
get
him to get all of the rushing work, but I didn't expect it to be 30 carries. I thought maybe like
yeah,
16, 17 carries.
yeah.
But
I don't think that that's going to be prescriptive for the
I don't
rest of
think
the
so either.
year, but I think there's going to be more games like that
If
where I think the Colts have a pretty decent secondary, and so I don't think that they were able to pass on them as uh well as they would have liked to. I don't think they could air it out against that team. So I think Joe Mixon was putting in work and it was working. So they said just feed him, and he ate.
I think that at least shows a confidence that the Texans coaching staff is if the run is working, just let it ride. They're just going to keep going at it.
Honestly, I'll give a hand to the coaching staff
Yeah, it's good.
because I hate when teams you just have something so obvious, something
They
somebody
get too
sitting on a
cute.
couch can see, and it's like, for instance, the Seahawks have done in the past with like Kenneth Walker. He just looks so good, nobody can stop him, and they give him 18 carries for the game, and that happens all the time.
I know.
And so props to the Texans offense.
Yeah, won them the game, honestly, and especially that last
Yeah,
drive. They couldn't stop him to get off the field. CJ Stroud, he was good, 24-32, 234 for 2. Um, he just didn't have the prolific, like the long touchdown passes. I mean, Nico Collins led with 6 for 117. Tank Dell, if anything was shocking, it was Tank Dell's minimal impact in the game, 3 for 40. But he's going to be fine. This whole team's going to be fine. Diggs might have been the shocker where he had 6 receptions but only 33 yards, but he got the 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I would say with Diggs, I think with Diggs and Dell, I think Dell is a buy low candidate and Diggs is a sell high candidate. I think Dell is going to be more and more involved. I- They're all going to be involved. Not that Diggs is going to be irrelevant the rest of the season. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that Nico Collins is the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell are going to fight to be the second guy. And Tank Dell, I think, will probably win that fight at some point during the season.
I think this is what it is. Nico Collins is the one who is going to be a heavily involved down the field, big play, touchdown guy. Tank Dell is going to be that. Although I don't know if, unless he breaks away and can score long bomb touchdowns, I don't know how involved in the red zone Tank Dell is going to be. But Stephon Diggs is going to be a red zone master for this team. And I think that I just don't think Diggs has it in him to be that constant volume, push the ball down the field. He's never really been that, like a Tank Dell and Nico Collins, but he's a nasty route runner. And when you get into the red zone, a guy you can trust.
So, are you really saying right now that he's going to be like Mike Evans this season?
No, because
Like, you're not, but so what I'm getting at is like, you don't think he's a good starter, though, right? Because you can't depend on a touchdown every game
I
just to
mean
be
it's
happy.
tough. It's tough to say that after just 1 week. I mean, he had 6 catches, 33 yards. It was short area stuff. 2 of them were for touchdowns, and it speaks to me that they called those plays for Stephon Diggs in the end zone.
I will say he had a drive where he got like 4 of those targets, though.
Yeah,
He wasn't in the game for a lot of the game.
and I this is what we've been saying all offseason. You're gonna have games from each one go a different way. I was just talking more specifically like their archetype, like what their role with the team will be.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. Whether it falls out that way,
Well, what's
for
your opinion
Diggs,
for fantasy though? Like,
um,
what is your advice on Stephon Diggs managers?
flex him.
Personally, I would sell high.
I
I
think you
think right
could
now you
for
can get
sure.
him. You can get somebody that may be more consistent with how well he performed
Yeah,
in the name.
you for sure could, and I wouldn't have any problem with that if you wanted to. Um, but that if you knew someone was interested or was on the fence about Diggs, and you think that this performance like reconfirmed, oh no, this is still Stephon Diggs, and you can sell high, I'd be okay with that because I think Nico Collins is still the major one on the team, and Tank Dell is pushing that boundary. So Dalton Schultz 3 for 16, disappointed. I believe he got hurt in this game too. Did Dalton Schultz get hurt?
I don't remember him getting hurt, but
I can't remember either.
may have.
All right, well we got to push this along. The other side of the ball, the Colts, Anthony Richardson. It might be an NFL record. I don't know if anyone's ever completed 9 passes for 212 yards. That's insane. They were
Yeah.
either on the money or up there with the satellites.
Yeah, he was
So
he was on the money. He was either making the most incredible throws that you may have ever seen, or he was throwing it 20 yards over the wide receiver's head.
yeah, and I think that
Um,
that's exactly what you're going to get all year. But if it turns out like this and he has the rushing ability and the big plays can be there, it ain't going to matter.
No, I think for fantasy, it's going to be just fine. I honestly think that the passing, as far as consistency, I think it'll get a little better. Um, Obviously, he was practicing with Josh Downs all season, and because a lot of the plays that were sailed, it was with Adonai Mitchell. He was the receiver that it just seemed like they weren't on the same wavelength there, which makes sense because he was running with the, twos and the ones
I don't
occasionally. It was
know if
Josh
there
Downs.
was no wavelength or whatever. He was streaking wide open down the field and just missed him.
Well, no, he ran the wrong route. Is what happened on one of them. I'm not sure about the other one, but I know the announcers were saying that he apparently ran the wrong route on.
There was one where it was just a streak and he was completely wide open and he missed him. And for what it's worth,
well, there's two streaks.
Either way, he finished the game with 1 catch for 2 yards. He lost a lot of notoriety on those throws. Michael Pittman, I mean, like we said, there's only so many ways to split 9 catches. Michael Pittman had 4 of them, but 31 yards. And obviously you had the 2 big bomb touchdowns. The only saving grace to his fantasy week, Richardson that is, was a bomb touchdown to Pierce and to Ashton Doolin.
Yeah,
I'm not.
I would say
as far as
the receivers go, like Alec Pierce, I would keep your eye on him just because we haven't seen this offense with Anthony Richardson. Maybe he loves Alec Pierce, but I wouldn't even spend a waiver wire on him this week
unless you're in like a really deep league.
Yeah, maybe a 14-teamer. But I'll just keep an eye on him. If he does it again next week, I would pick him up for sure. Maybe even spend some fab on him. But I do think this offense is going to be just fine as far as fantasy goes. I think Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor, and Anthony Richardson.
I was going to say 2 things about Jonathan Taylor. He had a decent game. He fell into the end zone, 48 yards. Yeah. He was 16 carries. But the one thing I will say about that, he had 100% of the running back carries. Not another running back touched the ball. So you've got a workhorse.
Well, when you got Trey Sermon as your backup,
you want to keep it out of his hands as much as possible.
He will fumble the ball first snap.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor, he's gonna be guaranteed going forward.
And Jonathan Taylor looked good.
Oh, he looked so good. I forgot how crisp he looked running the football.
Yeah, it was just he kind of reminds me of like a beefy Le'Veon Bell. Like he's somebody who's like patient. He waits for those holes to open up.
And his acceleration, he hits that hole, and once he makes up his mind, it's so quick, and he falls forward. Fantastic running back. Yeah. Forgot how much fun he was to watch.
But in the future, look, you might, if you have your running back going against Houston, temper your expectations. They seem to have a really good D-line. So.
Or they just knew Richardson couldn't throw worth a damn, so they said...
Well, yes. I also think the game script for their defense was lock down Jonathan Taylor.
And stop the run.
And stop Michael Pittman.
Right. All right. Moving forward. Another great game. Jags-Dolphins. So, this one was interesting. 1 point. Tyreek Hill. Still Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Was detained prior to the game for whatever traffic violation. I saw the body cam footage came out today. I don't know if you saw it yet.
Oh, yeah. That was crazy, dude.
There's so many problems here. But he was able to play, and he saved his fantasy day by having a 80-yard touchdown. But that's what he does. That's Tyreek Hill. We don't need to harp on Tyreek Hill. He's going to do that. Jalen Waddle left the game and was evaluated for a concussion. Came back.
I can't believe it, man. You can't make this shit up.
No, he got clocked.
How do you leave every single game with an injury? I don't understand.
Some people just got that.
He's got to just be a baby back bitch, dude. He's got to be. There's no way he's like actually getting actually injured catch. And then coming back into the game. He always comes back.
A dog. That means he said, "I'm not. I ain't hear no bell."
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I mean Jalen Waddle is 5 for 109. He had a beast of a catch. Yeah, long of 63. So it helps when you have a 63-yard reception capability in your pocket
Yeah.
for Jalen Waddle.
No, he'll be good this year.
He'll still be good. Devon Achan led the team in targets, I believe, and had tied Tyreek with the same reception total, 7 catches for 76 yards with a long of 39. These
Yeah.
Dolphins are going to give you big plays, and he, as promised, was involved in the passing game, and he ended up with a decent game after punching in a 1 yard touchdown run, which I am curious if that had to do with the Mostert chest injury. That they're
Yeah, that's when I heard that news. That's literally what I thought about. Is Mostert still going to get the goal line carries?
right.
Because obviously that was part of us thinking that Mostert was even going to be good this season or like a steal. We knew that Achane was going to take over and be the productive back, but last season Mostert got all the touchdowns and he was
Right.
the goal line guy. So
And on a
I
great
don't know.
offense, if you get the goal line back inside the 5, that's going to be great for
Right.
you. So we'll see. The Dolphins again. There's no one to panic on this team. Um,
Yeah, I would, be cautious with Mostert. If you have somebody else, I personally have Jaden Reed. I'm considering starting Jaden Reed over Mostert. I'm gonna have to look at the matchup. I think it's the Bills, so I probably will.
yeah.
Um, because that's not a great matchup. Yeah, if you have somebody, just put them in there because I feel like there is a question mark on him. But I'm not really raising the red flag. I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, and Tua only had the 1 touchdown, but he might have led the league in passing yards this week with 338. With I don't know who.
Baker might have had a lot more. I
No,
think Baker might have been the 400s, right?
no. Baker had
Or you just have a ton of
289,
touchdowns.
but four
Oh, what
touchdowns.
the hell?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why
He
four
just had four
touchdowns.
touchdowns, but
Okay.
so you're fine there. On the
Yeah, I
other
think you're
other
right.
side of the ball, Trevor Lawrence, not good. 12 completions, 162 and one.
Yeah,
He
Goldilocks sucks.
Okay, I will say though that touchdown to Brian Thomas Jr. was one of the most insane throws I've ever seen. Did you see, like, from his point of view, what he
Yeah.
saw to
Oh
throw that,
no.
bro? You'll have to find it to throw that ball when he let the ball go where Brian Thomas Jr. was. Brian Thomas
He
Jr.
was wide open though.
But he wasn't when he let the ball go. That he was right in the middle of the end zone, and he weaved through 3 defenders on the back line and just went and grabbed it. It was you'd have to see it. It was insane. But the biggest story about this game was Tank Bigsby and
Oh
Travis
yeah.
Etienne had the same amount of carries. They both had 12
Forgot about that.
carries. Bigsby had 73 yards and Etienne 44. The only
I
thing
don't
that
know. Maybe
saved
they just thought, the Dolphins are doing it.
what? Doing what?
You know, the Dolphins aren't playing Mostert. Maybe we shouldn't play
Oh.
ATN.
Well, they still gave him 12 carries versus Mostert's what? How many did he have?
Like
Six.
six.
Yeah, 6 for 9. Jesus. But yeah, they had the same amount of carries. Bigsby was way more efficient on the ground. He actually looked decent. I saw he had a long of 26. But they gave ETN the 1 yard touchdown run. Oh, and ETN fumbled at the 1 yard line into the end zone. So he could have
Maybe
potentially
that's
had.
what it was.
He potentially could have
Maybe it
had.
was the doghouse effect.
Yeah, yeah. He potentially could have had twice. I mean, if he goes 12 for 45 yards and 2 touchdowns, that's a hell of a game this week for running backs. So we wouldn't be having this conversation. But as far as the receivers go, Gabe Davis led with receiving yards with 3 for 62. Again, Trevor Lawrence 162 passing yards. No one's going to have a great game. Brian Thomas Jr., I just explained that. He was 4 for 47 in that touchdown.
Yeah, honestly, green flag for
Oh,
Brian Thomas.
dude, I'm
He
so stoked
not
to
only
have him on
looked
my
good,
team.
that touchdown catch, like you're saying, was a good throw. It was also a great catch. So Yeah, I would be excited if I had him.
I am excited. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna breeze through this one very quickly. Saints Panthers.
All right,
Bryce
that's it.
Young sucks. That's it. Moving on. Uh, no, Bryce Young was
Panthers
terrible.
offense sucks. Miles Sanders was involved in the run game. What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Um, i-
It's
that's
gross.
it.
The
I don't know.
Panthers. I mean, Liggett led with receptions. So if you want a silver lining, if they can somehow figure it out, maybe
Yeah,
Liggett will
if you
have
want 4 points from your wide receiver each week, maybe you can pick up Leggett.
3.5. Thank you. In
Well,
standard. No, he was. God, they just got dominated from the jump. The game was over halfway through the first quarter. I mean, they lost the game 47-10. In the first quarter, New Orleans was up 17-0. And then at halftime, it was 30-3. Like what are you going to do? I mean, complete domination. Derek Carr, unfortunately, was 19-23 for 203. Um, Alvin Kamara was efficient
what do you mean, unfortunately? Why is that unfortunate?
because I hate Derek Carr.
Why?
I,
Why do you hate Derek Carr?
I just hate Derek Carr. I think he's a whiny baby back bitch, and I think he has had help around him to make him look decent. I think he's
Okay.
Jimmy Garoppolo on.
What
I
wide
would say on
receivers has he
steroids.
had?
I'd say on steroids, but Jimmy G was actually on steroids and is suspended right now for it.
Wait, for real? I didn't.
Yeah, Jimmy G's
What?
suspended. Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo is suspended right now for PEDs.
What team's he on?
Um,
Raiders, right? Or
no,
did they
because
release him?
they cut him. What team is he? Oh, he's on the Rams.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he's on the Rams.
Okay,
But
I don't know
anyways,
why you're slandering Derek Carr,
I
but
just
I will
hate Derek
say
Carr.
this is very good news for Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed and Alvin Kamara.
Oh, you say it's good news for Chris Olave though. So he had a good game, right?
He didn't,
He had two
but
catches for 11 yards in a game where they
okay,
scored
but
47 points.
if your slander for Derek Carr is that he's been surrounded with talent and that's why he's been good, he's surrounded with talent now. So
I know.
then if he's good, then hopefully then they have good fantasy production for the
I know.
Saints.
And I'm not panicking on Chris Olave either. Like I said, this game was over quickly. They just ran the ball a ton. Hell, Jamal Charles had 11 carries. Jamal Charles. If he had if Jamal Charles,
I was like, dude, what?
bro, bring him out. Bring out the Walker.
Dude, he's back.
No, Jamal Williams had
Jamal
11
Charles
carries.
had an 80-yard touchdown this game.
Yeah.
Um,
It was a good showing
that's
for
actually
Kamara.
a little concerning.
Shaheed with the 59-yard bomb. He does that 59-yard touchdown. Like that's if you need a spot start and can hope for a big play,
Yeah,
throw in Shaheed.
he might be the best DFS wide receiver in the league.
Because he can absolutely just go off, but get you nothing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, as far as a wide receiver too in New Orleans, you can do worse, like betting on something. So, all right, let's see. That's it for that game.
Thank God.
All right, we're gonna have to go overdrive on the rest of these games. Vikings Giants. Overall, Giants suck. Sam Darnold actually didn't look terrible. Aaron Jones had 14 for 94 and 1. He looked fantastic. Daniel Jones finished the day with negative fantasy points.
Good shit.
He's hot garbage.
Here, you keep going. I'll just ad lib to your conversation.
Justin Jefferson is still great. Didn't have crazy yardage, but he got in the end zone.
Hell yeah.
Malik Neighbors 5 for 66. Honestly, that if you just like extrapolate out the amount of assness that come from Daniel Jones, if you put that production versus that level of assness, he did great.
Oh no, Kadarius Tony 2.0.
don't put that out there
And
for Malik Neighbors. You're the worst. No, it was just terrible. Devin Singletary, 10 for 37. He couldn't get anything going. Jordan Addison had a few. He had a drive where he had a couple big catches, but other than that, defense destroyed the Giants. Apparently, we're sending. Yes, he did. Well, he's good at that, isn't he? Yep. Apparently, we're sending the Giants and Panthers as the Germany game.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up. That is so funny.
America. Fuck yeah. Thank God, dude. I wasn't going to watch the 8 a.m. game anyways.
I might not. I swear to God.
I usually don't. So
I know
glad it's that game.
But, gross. Anyways. Turbo, moving on. Chargers, Raiders. Fist fights. Just a blaring. They started a brawl. Those teams don't like each other. Oh,
yeah. That was crazy.
I don't like them. Gardner Minshew looked exactly like Gardner Minshew does. Decent completion percentage, a touchdown and a pick, 25 of 33.
Hey, Jacob Myers, I told you be involved.
Okay, 3 catches for 61. He had a 33
more yards than Devontae Adams
by 2, and Devontae Adams had two more yards or 2 more catches. But Brock Bowers was right there. Extra 1 more catch than Devontae Adams and 58 yards. And we know I'm the Brock Bowers stan in this building.
I'm becoming one.
You should, and I'll let you hop on this train.
I have no choice.
I'm the conductor.
The joker's hurt.
Right. So
he has to be good this week.
Alexander Madison actually was more involved than I thought.
Yeah, that was weird.
And that's why I hated Zamir White.
He was even on that team.
Exactly. So the Raiders, very vanilla. Nothing too crazy sticking out. Don't panic on Devontae Adams. The Chargers, they shored up on defense. They look good on defense. And the offense had some juice to it, especially in the run game. Because, again,
J.K. Dobbins.
Again, 144 yards passing from Justin Herbert. Like, no one cracked 200 yards. This week was so odd.
Yeah.
But J.K. Dobbins, 10 carries, 135 yards and a touchdown with a long of 61. How this man was able to run 61 yards without getting tackled on an NFL field is
I will say,
insane.
Did you see the run?
No, I did not see the run.
You know how he did it? He had like 3 blockers in front of him.
Oh, so he
was literally it was kind of funny. He was slow.
Oh boy.
But he was like running behind the blockers as they're blocking like the
And we lost Justin again. But I didn't see the specific play. But J.K. Dobbins is someone to monitor. 10 carries to Gus Edwards' 11, but way more productive. Even without the 61-yarder, he would still be way more productive. Gus had 11 carries for 26 yards. Ladd McConkey, leader in receptions, and he had the touchdown. We said he is the prospective wide receiver 1 on the team. And Ladd had himself a little mini day when there's not a whole lot going around.
Yeah, he did have the touchdown was the majority of it, but at least he was heavily involved.
Yeah, but he led the team in receptions too. So, yeah.
I'm excited. He's on my team.
Yeah, it's always nice when you see a shifty dude, a first-round pick involved, and he can crawl into the end zone.
Yeah, I will say I think the end zone is going to be his best friend this year because he's one of those wide receivers where every time I saw him on the field, he was just like, "Hey, I'm open."
Mm-hmm.
Like it's weird. I don't understand how these white guys do it, but they like somehow get past these better athletes in them, and then they're just like, "Hey, pass it to me."
But he's not though. He is an elite athlete. He is wide open. He's definition of always open, and I said that from
he finds the spaces and he sits
draft process.
The spaces and he asks for the ball.
All right. Moving on. Broncos, Seahawks. My team unfortunately did not get the win. I thought the defense was going to carry them to a win because they were dominating the Seahawks early on. The offense was just inept. They couldn't get anything going. And then after halftime, it was just downhill from there for the Broncos. Geno Smith, 18 of
You look
25.
good.
Other than the first quarter, he did look good. I mean, nothing
Yeah.
was way down the field. But the story of the game was ultimately just Kenneth Walker in the run game. Once they figured out how to
Yeah.
run the football, Kenneth Walker was unstoppable. He was getting chunk play after chunk play. Tyler Lockett showed you that he's still good. He's still good. He's still the same player.
Unfortunately.
7 for 6 for 77 yards. He's the key third down read, back shoulder throw. The chemistry with Geno Smith was just still there. I'm not panicking on DK Metcalf. He just happened to be Pat Surtain's main victim of being shut down because the dude's a monster. And Charbonnet got the receiving touchdown. He's still just a backup running back. Right.
Walker went out.
Right. And Kenneth Walker, 2 catches for 6 yards, so he's still not gonna be their main receiving back, but he's too damn good in the run game. Bo Nix, guess how many times Bo Nix threw the football?
It wasn't a ton.
Guess how many times Sean
I wouldn't
Payton
say
let
he
his
necessarily
rookie?
threw the ball.
Very true.
I'm
So
just playing. 12.
okay, so someone didn't actually watch the game. Bo Nix threw the ball 42 times. It was insane.
Felt like I was watching the game, but
Dude,
I don't know. Yeah, that's crazy.
because the run game was not there in Denver. They couldn't run the ball.
No, it
worth
wasn't.
Shit. So
McLaughlin looked like poop.
mm-hmm.
Javonte looked like poop. And what was the third one you guys had going? Estimate looked like poop.
Yeah. Bo Nix led the team in rushing, 5 carries for 35 yards.
That's insane.
McLaughlin 10 for 27, Javonte 8 for 23, and Estimate
That's
2 for
insane.
14. So the run game was
How are
terrible.
How are you gonna talk up Javonte Williams all freaking offseason and give him 8 carries? How are you gonna do that?
I don't know. The play calling looked like they had a rookie at quarterback. It was so
The play calling looked like fucking Sean Payton just died. Okay, when they made that movie about Sean Payton, he literally became Kevin James.
So
He is no longer Sean Payton. That's Kevin James out there coaching your football team. He's literally on the sideline asking, "Oh, where's my chocolate shake?"
There's not much hope for this year for Denver, if I'm being real with you. Seattle, I know they have the new team, the defensive-minded coach and Mike McDonald, but they're not a great defense, and they were completely shut down. The wide receivers were useless. The rookie Devon Vele led Denver in receptions, 8 for 39. Cortland Sutton, 12 targets though. If you rookie out of Utah, 5th or 6th round pick. Cortland Sutton with 12 targets, but only 4 receptions. Bo Nix tried to force it to.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, I do remember
Sutton.
that.
And he did, and he got picked off. But you'll learn. For fantasy, if you can move on, just move on. This year's not going to be great.
Yeah.
Maybe NFL wise, Bo Nix will work out, and the Broncos will figure it out. In a year or so down the line. This year, this is my panic button alarm on Denver's offense.
I would expect to see what we saw last year.
I don't think it'll be that good.
Maybe worse.
So
I was about to say, yeah, maybe worse.
Moving on, we have a couple more games, and then we're gonna wrap up. Cowboys-Browns. Cowboys dominated the Browns. Deshaun Watson is absolute garbage. He threw the ball 45 times.
Somebody said he never woke up from the masseuse table.
Oh my god.
He never got off the masseuse table.
Yeah, talk about a doppelganger, someone who
Hilarious.
got switched out. How is someone a top five fantasy quarterback for years and years and years, and then
How do you literally look like a more athletic Patrick Mahomes, and now you look like I don't even know what to compare
I
him to, dude.
yeah, he must have in the offseason started training with Zach Wilson,
Uh,
and they
I
just
would
started
take
becoming
Tyrod
best
Taylor
friends.
over him right now.
Uh, they got Jameis. They're genuinely thinking about what can they do with Jameis. They have to because it's atrocious. Joku got hurt, but he led the team in receiving with 44 yards thanks to a 29-yard reception.
That's insane.
Um, Judy got the
Amari Cooper.
touchdown, 25 yards and touchdown. Amari Cooper only had two. Oh my God, I didn't even realize it was this many. Um, two receptions. Guess how many targets he had?
9.
Well, right on the money. Nine
Oh yeah.
targets for two receptions, and that's it for 16 yards. God
Yeah.
awful.
He was Amari Pooper this week.
He was
I will say he's
pooping in
probably
his
the one
pooper.
player on the team that I would expect to at least be okay for fantasy going forward.
Yeah, I mean,
But definitely red flag this week. But you
red
also had
flag.
Micah Parsons and
Right.
Trevon Diggs. They have a good defense,
I
so
say Cowboys defense is no slouch, so maybe it's a fluke, but I would still have hoped for at least a little bit of something promising
it's
from
definitely
Deshaun
not promising.
Watson.
I
No.
think as long as you have Deshaun Watson, if he keeps playing like this, you might be in trouble with Mark Cooper.
Yeah, unfortunately, because I still think Amari Cooper is elite. But another stinker at the quarterback position just because of the lack of, I don't know, need for an offense. Dak Prescott, 19 of 32 for 179 and 1.
Yeah,
The
I mean
receiving
they got up
options,
early.
yeah, I mean, it was out of hand. CD was still all over the place. Um, he even had three rush attempts for 25 yards, adding 61 receiving yards as well. The key takeaway, if you were kind of looking to take something out of this game, is Zeke led the team with carries, 10 for 40 and 1. Rico Dowdle, 8 for 26, so it was less efficient, but nothing too crazy difference in rushing attempts.
It's about what we
Um,
expected.
I think so too. But
I think Rico Dowdle will get a decent. I think
and we lost him. Um, but yeah, Brandon Cooks, he had the touchdown, so there's something there. If you need a wide receiver and are in a pinch, Brandon Cooks is probably on waiver wires because he was drafted super super late. Um, and he's back.
hi Ralph.
I was saying Brandon Cooks 4 for 40 and 1. Um, he's there if you need a wide receiver in a pinch. Um, all right, one more game. We're running through this. The final game of the weekend that we haven't talked about. Oh, nope, two more games. Commanders and Bucks. Baker Mayfield looked great. Was the number one quarterback on the week. Daniel Jones, not Daniel Jones. Jaden Daniels looked like a great fantasy
Hey,
option for you
you
with
know, for a rookie
18,
game, pretty good.
16
Pretty
carries,
promising.
88 yards, and two rushing touchdowns. Like just those stats alone would be top 10 for running backs this week.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
and he just looked solid. He didn't look super rattled. They got down quick. Godwin got in the end zone once. The rookie McMillan got in the end zone. Mike Evans scored twice. So at least with the new coach there in Tampa, the offense doesn't look inept. For fantasy, you're going to start
Yeah.
Evans. Godwin, if you're on the fence, have some confidence in him. He had 8 targets, 8 receptions,
Yeah.
83 and 1. I mean,
Shoot,
Godwin,
he might be somebody on waivers.
I doubt he's on
Definitely
waivers,
possible.
but, you know, if you have him on your bench and you're not confident, maybe you had Amari Cooper and you're not a fan of the performance, or maybe you had someone like Mostert in your flex and you got good Godwin on your
Yeah.
bench. Maybe that's
I would
something you
have
could
to
look at.
see who they're playing next week, but personally, I would start Chris Godwin over Mark Cooper next week.
Yeah. I don't have any problem with that at this point in time. Just Chris Godwin, he looked like the real deal, like he
And
was
they
once
apparently
before.
they moved him back into the slot, which he hasn't played in the slot since the season that he was the number one wide receiver. Or wait, number two, because it was with Michael Thomas, I believe.
I think so.
Same season, whatever. Incredible season, but he hasn't played in the slot since that season. Now he's back, so we'll see.
Yeah. Um, Real quick, Bucky Irving, 9 for 62, long of
Wow,
31. He got his
dude,
opportunity and was
what
way
is
more
going
efficient.
on, dude? I feel like these coaches are like, oh, you guys play fantasy football, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you like Travis Etienne and Rashad White, Zamir White?
You like
Huh?
Alexander Madison. You like
You
Bucky
like Raheem
Irving.
Mostert? Oh, well, guess what? I'm going to start the second string running back
Mm-hmm.
for half the snaps today.
No, I mean the timing that the carries came for Bucky Irving was suspect, but Rashad White was 2.1 a carry. It was 15 of 31. So,
That's been his issue for sure.
and that's what's nerve wracking is if Bucky Irving can become good at the things that Rashad White's good at, and also be a more efficient, explosive runner on the ground, we could get into a dangerous timeshare territory. So,
Yeah,
um,
keep an eye out.
like I said, on the other side of the ball, I mentioned Jaden Daniels. If you drafted him as your QB2 and you aren't confident in starting whoever you took before, I think you can confidently replace Jaden Daniels as your starting quarterback.
For sure.
Um, Brian Robinson Jr. is what I expected, and I'm really happy to be confirmed right. He is the number one running back on the team. 12
Yeah.
carries to Eckler's 2. Um, got the
Yeah.
goal line work, and even in the receiving game, he had one less reception than Eckler. He had 3 for 49. He had a 32-yard reception, and Eckler had 4 for 52. Jaden Daniels is gonna love throwing to these backs. I'm telling you, it's the perfect storm, and Brian Robinson's gonna be out there. Um, the wide receivers were hot garbage. The top 3 receiving
Yeah.
options were Eckler, Robinson, and Zach Ertz. Luke McCaffrey led with the wide receiver position, 3 catches with 18 yards. That's absolutely horrific. They'll figure it out, though.
Yeah.
McLaurin, 2 for
They'll get it figured out.
17.
We're talking about
Gross.
a quarterback that had 60 or not 60. That was false. 50 touchdowns in his last season as starting quarterback. He'll get it figured out. If there's any quarterback that I'm confident in transferring his game to the NFL and being able to pass this season, it's probably him.
And 16 carries for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. We'll get it done any day.
Yeah.
So, one more game. The final game of the week.
We just watched.
Game that was last night. Rams-Lions. Great overtime game. The injury to Puka Nacua had a huge impact. Cooper Kupp is a beast and is just the most reliable football player I can remember seeing in a long time. He's just there when you need him.
Yeah.
And
He's still Cooper Kupp.
still Cooper
That's all I
Kupp.
need to know. Just treat him like Puka never got drafted. He's Cooper Kupp.
They even gave him
Even
2
when
rushing
Puka was
attempts.
playing.
They even gave him 2 rushing attempts, along with his 21 targets, 14 catches
Oh.
for 110 and 1.
Well, yeah, it was really weird how they were using him last night. He was in motion every snap
Every
of the
snap.
game.
Every snap. And it's great.
Um,
It set up that touchdown.
Yeah. So
Um,
he's
uh,
evolved.
and then Kyron Williams, the worries have been set aside. He's still the workhorse running back. What's his face? Blake Corum didn't even take a snap in
Yeah.
the game.
Well, Ronnie Rivers did take a bit of work from him, which was
No,
puzzling.
he didn't take a bit of work from him. He took some snaps. He was on the field, but he didn't get the ball. Ronnie Rivers only had 2 carries, but
Yeah.
he did have a drive. Maybe it was just to spell Kyron Williams because he needed a break.
Maybe he had
But
a finger or something.
Matthew Stafford is still going to chuck that thing. Threw it 49 times.
It's good to see.
yeah, Colby Parkinson, he could be interesting for tight end waivers if you're in a deep league. He had 4 catches, 47
Yeah.
yards, the long of 20. And I saw the play. That was completely after the catch. Like, that was an athletic, caught the ball on the sideline, made a cut, and got a 40-yard completion out of it. So, um, play your Rams and hope Puka Nacua comes back soon.
Yeah. I think the Rams is exactly what you wanted and what you got. So
Exactly.
same with the Lions though. Jameer Gibbs was good. David Montgomery was good.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Goff was good. Amon-Ra was not good.
No, he was terrible.
Um, I don't necessarily have an excuse for him.
I don't either. I mean, he was 3
I
for
don't really know what
13,
happened there.
6 targets.
I mean, I will say, I think Jameson ended up taking it to the house a couple times, and they were just doing so well at the run game.
Right.
I think maybe he just got kind of scripted out of the game because when the running game failed, they were kind of like third and long, so they were looking to Jameson. But that is probably the story of the game for the Lions is Jameson Williams. Like he looked fantastic, and
Led the
I
team in
mean,
targets, yards, everything.
when we're talking about a first round pick,
Yeah.
he hasn't been relevant because he's been. What do you have? Cancer?
No, that's John Mechie. Same
Yeah.
vibe though.
Okay.
Highly drafted Alabama receiver, but no, Jameson Williams. Well, he was suspended. He was hurt. He was
Yeah.
drafted.
Suspended.
He was drafted on a torn ACL. In the
Right.
national championship, he tore his ACL, and then he was suspended for the gambling thing. So he
Yep.
played a lot last year, but never figured it out. So this was a test, and I think he passed. I mean, even it's tough when you think and he had a long of 52 at a 52-yard touchdown. So yes, those but he's capable of
Yes.
that.
That's the kind of a player he is.
Right.
So
So
and having a player like Amon-Ra take away the like Amon-Ra is going to suck all of the outside linebackers and cornerbacks, safeties to him, and he's going to be able to run wild down the field. So it's probably going to be you're probably going to see more of that from James Williams. I'm excited for him.
Me too. And I mean, they had 163 yards rushing between Gibbs and Montgomery, well, and a couple to Jameson and Khalif Raymond and Jared Goff on the scrambles. But just as a whole, as a team, Monty had 17 carries to Gibbs 11, so that was a little disappointing to see. And Monty was way more efficient than Gibbs was, which is odd. I mean, a long of 21 versus a long of 8 for Gibbs will get it done. But even then, Jared Goff, just quarterbacks were down this week. So if you survive this week with these low scoring games, like, don't feel bad. If your team is not at the projections that your app told you,
Yeah.
no one was.
Take this week with a grain of salt for most cases, aside from injury and,
Right.
a few other circumstances.
So it was a crazy week one. That was quite a beast to run through. All the matchups here. I just wanted to touch on before we get the hell out of here.
Did we talk about the Jets though? I mean, I guess we kind of did. The Jets game.
We just barely talked about the result and whatnot. But as far as fantasy goes, Aaron Rodgers, he didn't have
I would
a
not
great
start
game.
Aaron Rodgers for fantasy.
Garrett Wilson's still
But
elite, and he's going to be a good
yeah,
option.
Garrett Wilson, I think maybe the upside that we hoped that might not be there, but he's
That's
going
a
to be
great
better
defense.
than he has been.
They're playing against a great defense in San Francisco. There's no panic button on the Jets offense.
No.
I
I'm
think
just saying that Aaron Rodgers doesn't look to be the Aaron Rodgers that he was, but he still looks to be good. So
right.
I would say expectation wise, maybe not Garrett Wilson for MVP, but he's going to be much better than he has been in the last couple seasons, which is pretty
He
good.
will be great because if there's one takeaway that I took away from this game is that their offense is Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson.
Yes. And
That's
Alan
it.
Lazard, apparently.
I think Lazard will get, a few key like third downs. Like he'll get his share of like NFL game relevance, but for fantasy, I mean, he scored on the broken play today, but or the free play with the penalty. But other than that, the Jets, Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson. Don't think about it too much. 49ers, holy Jordan Mason, 28 carries, 147 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, that's nuts for someone who I don't know if he's ever started a game in his NFL career.
Dude, so I just want to pop in here. How many targets do you think Lazard had?
9.
He did have 9. Did you look it up?
No.
Oh,
You said
9?
9 about what's Amari Cooper, so I said the same.
9 targets, 6 receptions, 89 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I'll say this. Obviously, I agree with you. I don't think that I think Garrett Wilson probably took away the pressure on this game and let that happen. But I think if Aaron Rodgers can get better and better, more and more healthy, maybe later on the season he'll be a guy to target for fantasy.
Yeah, I think just as in any wide receiver too, for a team with a quarterback who has a chemistry with him.
Sure, brought him to the team.
Yeah, but the Jets, it's not too complicated for me personally.
No.
Interesting. So I was looking at the Niners stats here. They have that scramble, that little double pass with Debo. They have that counted as a sack. They had that as like he was going to throw the ball, and they sacked him.
Huh.
Interesting.
That's
Because I
weird.
was looking at passing stats, and it's right there. But anyways, Brock Purdy, stinker of a game, just 231, no picks, no touchdowns, just pure. What is that? That's not even 10 points.
Jeez.
Jordan Mason in lieu of Christian McCaffrey. We probably should have started the with the injury news with the most obvious one.
Oh yeah, that guy.
That guy, Christian McCaffrey.
I forgot about the first overall pick, Christian McCaffrey. Yeah. What was an ankle?
Calf
Calf.
and Achilles.
Yeah.
Is the issue. And they said,
I don't know. This was weird. I didn't think that he was going to be out at all until like the last 2 days.
So he was limited all week, but he kept saying he was going to play. The expectation is he's going to play.
Yeah.
And then an hour before kickoff, he's out. Jordan Mason in, and it sucks because I picked up on this, and you can just tell, like, Jordan Mason, not a big NFL guy. He got the interview at the end of the game. The interviewer asked him, it's like, what did you think when you got the word like you were going to start, and when did you know? He said Friday. And so I was like, bro, you're talking too much. You're throwing.
Bro.
I know. And
Come on.
And he said
Come
something
on.
about Friday.
Chris McCaffrey. Listen. Come on.
I know.
We all love you. But don't do that shit. Come on.
I
thought you were a guy's guy, man.
I don't think it's up to him, but
Christian. Listen.
you just gotta play.
Don't do that shit again.
Jordan Mason said after
I
the
still
game.
won. But I might not have.
Yeah, whatever. Christian McCaffrey, they said that it's Adam Schefter before the kickoff said it's likely he misses next week's game too because of a short week. It's a borderline Achilles injury.
No.
So they said for the longevity of the season, it's going to be a long season for them. They're going to be cautious and they're going to keep holding him out.
All right, so now we're getting into the waivers. Jordan Mason.
Entire fab dump. I'm just kidding.
Well, I don't know about that.
No.
Maybe
But
20.
let's get into a little bit of waiver wire because this will go out sometime Tuesday. So obviously, quarterback. If you need a quarterback, someone who might not have been drafted or in a deeper league, Baker Mayfield, to me, is in an offense where those numbers can be put up.
Especially if you had Jordan Love, maybe you need to stream somebody.
Yeah,
Baker Mayfield
so
for
there's
sure.
thousands of people out there that drafted Jordan Love and no one else. Baker Mayfield, and my other one is Justin Fields. You can do
Yeah.
worse. You can do worse
No.
with the rushing
Yeah.
ability of Justin Fields in the meantime until Jordan Love comes back. Or, yeah, no, I guess that's the only quarterback that's going to miss some time. But, yeah, Justin Fields, like I said, 14 carries for 57 yards.
Or if you drafted Deshaun Watson.
Yes. Well, if you drafted Deshaun Watson, then you can just
You're a tard.
respectfully turn off the show and never turn it back on. Running backs. Clearly, Jordan Mason, ain't going to talk about it again. But J.K. Dobbins, too. J.K. Dobbins, undrafted in most leagues. Maybe someone took their shot that he was going to be good, and he was going to be the guy. It's week 1 waivers. What do you want? Like, there's not much to go off of, but J.K. Dobbins should be rostered.
I would pick him up.
And I said Bucky Irving. If you have some depth on your bench, say you drafted someone that you are good with cutting, Bucky Irving is involved, and he was efficient against a bad defense, I know, but I'm telling you, it's a slippery slope with Rachaad White. I think he isn't untouchable to be overtaken by someone who's better than him. And if someone happens to be better than him, it'll turn into a timeshare, and it'll turn into a real competition. So,
yeah, in deep league, I would pick him up for sure.
I picked him up,
And
I picked up no. In a league with my friends from Kentucky, I picked up Bucky Irving and Jordan Mason last week. Picked them both up. And for wide receiver, not too many names that I thought were worthwhile, but Brandon Cooks, he is old. He's boring because he's been around for a million years, but he is the wide receiver 2 on one of the best offenses in football, and I think we just kind of disrespected that the whole offseason. And he's heavily involved, and with Ferguson gone, he might see an increase in target share as well, which...
Yeah, I think that's what it was from, to be honest.
I mean, like I said, week 1 wide receiver waivers, there's not too many people that can provide the upside that Brandon Cooks can going forward, which leads me into the tight end waivers. My recommendations: Luke Schoonmaker, 2nd round pick. Basically, if you plug and play the Jake Ferguson role, I would pick
you
up
could
Taysom
probably count
Hill.
on at least 5 points a game.
Yeah, if you're in a huge pinch, you're in a deep league. If Taysom Hill is still on your waiver wire, I'd take him over Schoonmaker. But really, the interesting situation here with the waivers with someone who's widely available, Isaiah Likely. I know it feels like forever ago when we watched Thursday night.
It feels like so long ago.
I know, but we talked about it in the show earlier this week. Isaiah Likely was just the wide receiver 2 for the Ravens. I know Mark Andrews and him are going to be on the field at the same time, so it's not like he's in a pure backup role, and they don't have elite receiving options outside of Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews. So he proved he can do it. You're probably going to have to pay up for him because he was a top 15 total like fantasy point scorer this week, and everyone's going to be, I mean, you're going to fight the Njoku managers. You're going to fight the Ferguson managers. Yeah. And you might fight just everyone who's pissed off at Kincaid, McBride.
Yeah. Just scared.
Andrews, right.
Maybe dropping a DeAndre Hopkins and just saying, why not,
Yeah. Like me, because get that man off my team. So, yeah, that's it. That was a power through of week 1 of the NFL.
It was a fun week.
It was a fun week. It felt so good to be back. I was sitting on my couch drinking a beer with
I
a
bought wings,
I bought
beer.
my large wing combo from Wingstop, my 2 TVs up with 6 games on at the same time. I was living the dream.
It's glorious.
So that's it. We're
Yeah.
we're ready for what's the game next week? What's the Thursday night football game? Do
I
we
don't
know?
know. I'm not sure actually.
I, I was so focused
Um,
on this week and everything that
yeah.
happened with this. I haven't even looked forward. Oh, okay.
Wait.
There we go. We got a good one. We got Buffalo at Miami.
Oh, that's right. I did know that. Kind of. Yeah, that'd be fun.
So
We'll get ready for more episodes because we're coming at you 3 times a week.
yeah,
Some of the episodes might be longer, some of them might be shorter, but hey, we're gonna give you content. Hopefully you watch. Hopefully you subscribe and like.
yeah. We're gonna work out the kinks throughout the season. This is our first full
Yeah,
regular
don't
season.
judge us too hard.
Our upload schedule is going to try to be Tuesday, um,
Was it Tuesday,
Tuesday,
Thursday?
Thursday,
We don't
Friday.
even know.
Yeah, no, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, prior
Yep.
to the game. So we're gonna try to get 3 episodes out per week for everyone at the pivotal points of the
Yeah.
week.
We're gonna try and get you the recap of Sunday, Monday. You get your waivers before you put them in, and yeah, we'll have you prepared to win your fantasy football leagues.
Absolutely, and enjoy the ride with us. So Justin touched on it, but again, our main content is coming from at Last Call Fantasy Football on Instagram. And if you're here watching this, or if you are on Apple Podcasts, we got approved for
Yeah.
Apple Podcasts. We're gonna start uploading them there. It's my fault. I haven't put the whole season up there. It's just been lazy to do all that, and it takes a while for them to process and get improved to get actually uploaded. But we're on Apple Podcast at Last Call Fantasy Football. YouTube here, youtube.com/Last Call Fantasy Football. And we're ready for the season, ready to rock and roll. And as always, don't miss a last call for fantasy football. Deuces.
Bye.